but it should be fun.
So here's the thing. So I'm going to do the opening again, right?
Yeah, go ahead.
Opening again. Okay, so good evening, good afternoon. I don't know where you are in the world. I am sitting in 102 temperatures where I am. So hope you're all feeling good and cool and warm, whatever the case may be. But I wanted to really honestly alert the.
Oh, it's there. We're there. That's right.
Don't respond to her. Don't. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to literally put a warning out there to people that I'm going to be doing a PowerPoint with this presentation because it warranted it. Everyone knows that this is a conversation, which is Karen needs to go to jail. Karen representing white women who have contemporarily and historically been the cause of death of lots of people, but have never been held accountable for it. And so I'm giving people context because everybody gets all in their feelings when we start talking about stuff like this, as though, we somehow fell off a truck. And what I want people to know is I'm going to have some slides that are not suitable for children. Anybody under 12 should not see some of the slides that I'm going to show. And remember, the reason I'm showing these is I want to bring us through the etiology of how we get to the point where white women, can clutch the pearls, cry, and cause, people to go to jail and worse, death. Children, men, women, anybody. And what people don't understand is this has a precedence. This has been going on for a long time. And what I'm going to be showing in this PowerPoint is that context so that we can understand why next week we're going to be inviting attorneys on to figure out how we bring into law something that suggests that this behavior is felony behavior. You don't get to lie and put people's lives in danger because you've been inconvenienced. You don't get to do that. And for some reason, I don't know, everybody seems to see this happen over and over again, and it's like a big joke. It's not a big joke. It needs to be dealt with, and people need to be held accountable, namely white women who feel that they have instant innocence by virtue of their whiteness. So with that being said, I would like Bahia actually for you to stream that video of the police officer talking to the woman.
You want to do that first?
Yeah. Just to kind of give a purview of how accustomed we are to Black people being killed under
these. I had the PowerPoint queued up first because I thought you were going to go there first.
Okay, never mind. Look at how I don't care. We'll bring it in. I can already tell you all.
I could do it, but I'm just saying it might be best if we just go with what I have.
We'll go with the PowerPoint. So those of you that are coming on, I'm glad it kind of took a little while because you're going to want to see the whole PowerPoint. I'm just telling you. I did the best I could to keep it brief, but we got to educate people who are already in their feelings before we even start this.
Okay. I'm going to make sure that we have everybody here. Okay. I'm going to share the screen and go to your PowerPoint.
Excellent. So can I advance the slides or no?
I think you can if I make you a co-host. Let me see if I can do that. I don't think I can. Well, let me see. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to make you the host right now. But yeah, I guess I'll make you the host. And then you should be able to do it now.
Okay, let's see. That would be no.
That would be no. Okay, then no, you can't.
You want me to put it up?
If you know what, you'll have to share your screen is probably what's happening. So do you want me to advance it or no? Because I can, it's up.
Okay, so you can advance it.
All right. I'm right here. You can just tell me. Yeah, next slide.
Next slide. I can tell you what to do. That'd be nice.
Okay.
Next slide.
All right.
So again, people who know me know that even as a clinician through the many, many years I was in private practice, I've only had one rule, tell me the truth. I don't care. I was dealing with male and female, adolescent adult, male and female prostitutes or street workers or night workers, whatever the appropriate term is. When I was working with folks who were homeless, working with people who were in prison, it didn't matter because I don't care who you are, just tell me the truth. Because I do believe that truthfulness is a foundation of all the virtues of the world of humanity. I believe that if you aren't telling the truth, you're not going to be well. And I think our pathology as a country is in our denial of the issue of racism and white supremacy. That's why we're going down, because we won't deal with the truth. Next slide. So what was it, May 26th, Eliza Orleans, this is a public defender in Manhattan. Here's what she says. This is serious. This happened today in Manhattan. As a public defender for over a decade, I've tried cases where the Manhattan DA uses a hysterical 911 call as categorical evidence of guilt. Usually there's no video like this to refute it, meaning the video that just was shown with this woman in Central Park. Now, this is a white public defender, a white woman who's saying that in the past, all you needed was to listen to the hysterical 911 call. In fact, the attorneys would go, just listen to the call. And now we know you just can't listen to the call. A white person calls the police on a black man. The police arrive and take the side of his white accuser. Refusing to believe his version of events, he is arrested and arraigned. An outrageous bail amount is set. His family can't afford to buy his freedom. He gets sent to Rikers Island, where he sits for days, months, or sometimes years. Eventually, his case is resolved in some way, either because the charges are dismissed or because he decides to plead guilty to a lesser charge. In the meantime, he may have lost his job, his home, his children, or some combination of the three. Nothing like that happened to Cooper, thankfully, but the elements of the problem are plain to see. Now, this is a white public defender from New York. This is an attorney. And again, prior to the video, all we would need is the 911 call. Listen to this panicked, passionate, fearful 911 call. And we watched this woman do a 911 call and was lying the entire time, becoming more emotional to bring the police on, to create this image of danger. That's what she did. We watched her do it. Now, remember, in the past, there's no video. All you have is that 911 call. I want you to follow me with this because the implications are serious in terms of what could happen to someone. Next slide. Not on her job.
It wasn't going. Okay, wait. We're here. Hey.
Okay, so
hey, listen,
we're gonna work.
Lag is not an operator's problem. Okay. Keep going.
I'm gonna try to, stay with it. And again, I'm gonna try really hard to maintain my decorum. I'm going to try very hard to be,
promise
my voice to not speak so low like Bia says I do, but I'm feeling some kind of way about this. Okay. You're
also in some kind of way. Everybody's with you.
I'm not being transparent here. So now again, one of the things that happens, and because I was one of those people back in the 80s that, they hired for diversity training, and I immediately ceased and desist from doing it because it was an absolute and complete waste of time. Why? There's a big difference between equity and social justice versus diversity. What are you doing?
I didn't do anything. It's doing its own thing. Okay. It's back.
Okay. All right. Okay. So the belief that workplace diversity can bring increased productivity, new ideas, and therefore higher profits appeals particularly to corporations. Although diversity training may make good business sense, the model falls terribly short of the comprehensive racial justice approach required for progressive social change. What too often gets lost in the muddy waters of multicultural awareness is any analysis of power and the ways racist attitudes and organizational culture operate. A racial justice approach requires an organizational transformation of power relations. And see, what diversity training did was everybody came in, checked off that they were there, and nothing changed. There was a little fruit and festival. You had music and ethnic music and people in ethnic garb, and everybody clapped, said they were there, ate the little refreshments, and went back to life as usual. There was no change systemically. There was no change in the power dynamic. There was no change in the empowerment of people who have been oppressed in those toxic, hostile environments. Next slide. Dehumanization. I'm bringing this up because, and again, you can get all of this if you read my book, although there's some things in here that's not in the book, but dehumanization is a unique problem that has existed in this country since its inception. It is how, in fact, America, largely white America, embraced its strong Christian ethic that everything's okay, because they somehow placed a whole group of people, in this case, not just us, but other people too, but African Americans, as not quite fully human, which justified and legitimized everything that came afterwards. So next slide. So we have to come in, if the first thing that we have to recognize, and this is something I say in all my presentations, is that every major institution in America had to be complicit with the dehumanization of Black people. They had to be complicit with 339 years at least of slavery. They had to be complicit with all of the laws that oppressed people who were different. And the way they did it was they said, well, scientifically speaking, okay, so now we're bringing in the bastion of science. Now, this individual, Carl von Linnaeus, you all know, he's the father of anthropology. Everybody who is an anthropologist is cringing at this point because they know he was categorically insane. But here's what he said. This man is best known for the classification of things, species, phylum, genus. He basically looked around and categorized and classified things. And some of those things, he did an extraordinarily good job. But then he also, look at the date, 1707 to 1778, had to reconcile the contradiction of a country that prides itself on democracy and freedom, that was committing genocide against Native Americans at the time and enslaving African people. So how do you reconcile, send us your poor, your tired, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all? How do you reconcile that when you are obliterating, destroying an entire group of people to take their lands, mind you, and then you're going to enslave a whole nother group of people didn't ask to come, right? And all manner of horrific things. Well, he again now is going to classify, and I want you to stay with me, because in order for you to feel okay about it, is you have to justify what you're doing, and you do so by relabeling the people you are oppressing in such a way that it justifies what you're doing to them. So let's see how he describes people. By the way, there's not a shred of science here, just so you know up front. He starts describing Homo americanus. Now, just guess in your mind who that might be. Well, that would be Native. What did he say about Native American people? He says they're reddish, choleric, obstinate, contented, regulated by customs. Okay, no science there. Homo europaeus, white, fickle, sanguine, blue-eyed, gentle, and governed by laws. Clearly no science there. Homo asiaticus, that's Asian, sallow, grave, dignified, avaricious, and ruled by opinion. But now let's look at Homo afer. They are Black, phlegmatic, cunning, lazy, lustful, careless, and governed by caprice. Not a shred of science. Now, even though there's no science here, my students, when I was teaching at the university, teaching my 10-week course, which people are taking in my class, that of course, white people would start feeling dissonance, cognitive dissonance, because, oh my goodness, wait a minute. But Dr. Joy, look at the year, 1707 to 1778. You know, these people were ignorant, they didn't know. I said, yeah, but do you not still hear these attributions 2020 to Black people, when there's not a shred of science here, not a shred? Next slide. And this will tell you why. Why? It's because nobody checked his Vita, clearly, like everybody's checking mine right now because of what I'm saying. Linnaeus, after 1 week, received his PhD for a 13-page dissertation from the Dutch University of Harderwijk, which one historian of science designated as a mail order institution. The University of Harderwijk was known for selling degrees. And there's a saying in the Netherlands for a person whose scientific knowledge is questionable, oh, he's from the University of Harderwijk. So here's the man who said that.
Okay, 2 things. Breathe.
Woosah.
Woosah. You're starting to go too fast. People got to hear what you're saying. Okay.
All right, next slide. What's the bell? What's the bell? Okay, so now just a little history. And I want you to contrast even the manner in which folks are depicted. I say that whenever you see people dressed up like this, you should get concerned. Okay, just get concerned, because it's going to be a problem. All right, so now we know, based on the Constitutional Convention of 1787, was where the North was trying to eliminate slavery. They were actually abolitionists. They were saying, we're trying to eliminate slavery. at the 1787 Constitutional Convention. They were trying to stop it. Southerners were of course, trying to maintain slavery. So at this point, it came down to, well, you know, the more people residing in a state, the more representation that state has and the more power it can wield. Well, the Southerners said, well, we want to count the enslaved Africans. And the Northerners says, you can't count the enslaved Africans. You say they're not fully human. So the agreed upon decision, which is called the 3/5 compromise, is rather than counting every African as a person, we're going to count 3/5 of the entire population. Hence, here's this statement. Now look at the way the man's dressed. Right, we see this is how he dressed. Very dignified. But look at what he's saying. Blacks are inhabitants, but is debased by servitude below the equal level of free inhabitants, which regards the slave is divested of 2/5 of the man. You don't even know what the hell he's talking about here. But it just rolls off the tongue. And oh my God, look how it must be okay. This is James Madison, right? So again, we have to understand that these things were institutionalized many years ago. Next slide. So now we have Thomas Jefferson. I talk about him a lot. I end my book with a soliloquy from Thomas Jefferson, where he says, indeed, I tremble for my country when I consider that God is just and that his justice cannot sleep forever. This man was plagued with dissonance to his dying days, and he didn't free his enslaved Africans even upon his death. But here's what he did say, and I want you to understand, when you say Thomas Jefferson said it, well, it must be what? True. We're talking about Thomas Jefferson, someone who stood for freedom and religious freedom and all these different things. But these are his words. I can't make it up. He says, blacks smell bad and were physically unattractive. His words. Little inconsistent with his behavior, but his words nonetheless. And then he goes so far as to say we required less sleep. Now I want to unpack this for you, because all of this is to justify what you're doing to people. We're saying they're physically unattractive. Well, he was sleeping with a child. She was 13 years old, Sally Hemings, when she came into his employ, and was 16 by the time she became pregnant. There's another word we give to people who do that to children. Then he goes on to say we required less sleep. Well, we have to ask the question, what in the world would prompt him to make that statement? Because what was a work day for an enslaved African? It was sunrise to sunset. And we know it because we have the forensic evidence based on the bones that were found in the burial ground in New York. We know that they worked so hard that the muscle detached itself from the bone as a result of exertion. You lazy people, you. So what we have to appreciate about what I'm trying to share with you here is there's a historical context to what we are experiencing right now with Karen thinking she could call the police. Next slide. Not to mention, he says that we are distinct species. So now this is a photo that probably many of you have seen. This is the first Black man to ever appear on the cover of Vogue magazine. That's LeBron James. Now you need to look very closely at this photo and look at the poster of the Brute. Now when Vogue magazine, again, remember, this is the very first Black man ever to appear on the cover of Vogue magazine, and they made him an animal. Stay with me. When they were confronted with this photo, their official remarks were, coincidence. They said coincidence. Now look closely, they got it down to the blue dress. He has white-toed shoes on, was told to open his mouth because he couldn't possibly have known that this was what was going to happen. But this is exactly what happened, because it said, yes, LeBron James, we'll let you be on the cover, but we're going to make you the animal we believe you are.
This speaks to what we talked about in terms of pseudo innocence. When they say, oh, it's coincidence. When they say I was just being a good neighbor, I was trying to reinforce the law, it's a false innocence. We all know better. You know better, right? But because you're a white female, we're supposed to give you the benefit of the doubt, even though we all know that you're not innocent. We all know that you are aware of what you're doing when you do these types of things, that we conspire together to make them feel better about the things that they do.
Next slide. Now remember, these are choices. So now we have H&M clothing store. These are choices. They put one child in a sweatshirt that says coolest monkey in the jungle. And then they put another sweatshirt on, a hoodie, on a kid that they say is a survival expert. Those are decisions. Somebody sat in a room, looked at pictures, and decided that. And you're not going to tell me that this is an effort to go, yeah, he's not fully human. He's a monkey. He's an animal. And so there's this, again, oh, and everybody goes, oh, you're overreacting. Next slide. God, I didn't put Oda Benga in here. Darn it.
You can't do all of it.
I know I can't.
Okay.
Oda Benga, by the way, was put in the Bronx Zoo. He's a Congolese man that was 22 years old in 1906, placed in a Bronx Zoo where people came to visit him in the monkey cages.
They're going to do a story on him too.
Yeah, it's called Spectacle. Next slide. The reason why this may seem shocking to you is you weren't aware of the fact that throughout Europe, there were human zoos where they would actually capture Native American people and African American people, lock them in enclosures so that white people could see them in their natural habitat. This didn't make it to your text. I can't make this up. Next slide. This is as recent as 1958. That is a little girl in Belgium that is being fed bananas in a zoo. I was born in 57, just so you know. Next slide. Oh, now it gets dicey. These are the pictures I was talking about. Now, this is a famous picture, and you might have seen this. There's a book called Without Sanctuary, which is all depictions of lynchings. But I'm showing you this picture not because I want you to feel all twisted inside because of the man who is being murdered here, but I want you to see who's in the picture. I want you to see the people, and I want you to see just how young they are that are at this lynching. The little girl that's grimacing closest to this man does not see him as human. Matter of fact, everybody has on white, which means what day of the week is it? It means it's Sunday, which means that they've been to church. And right after church, they went to the lynching, and they're not feeling any conflict with that. None, nor do they feel any compassion or empathy for him because he is less than a deer to them. Next slide. Again, we have a picture in our mind of maybe when we think of lynchings and these horrible, rapacious things that are going on, that you got hooded folks on horses with toothless wonders that don't have a clue. Oh no, look in this photo. These folks are crowded into this photo. They want to be in the photo and they are smiling. And there is a man burning in front of them. And these are regular folk. Matter of fact, some of y'all watching this may be some of your family members. You don't want to own them now, but they're there. They're somebody's family members. They're dressed up. They ran train excursions. Read the work of Ida B. Wells. They ran train excursions, had children let out of school early so that they could participate in these. And how many participated? Thousands participated. Next slide. This is taken from a book, 100 Years of Lynching. No pictures. These are all newspaper accounts. So I want to put in perspective that burning man that you saw there. Before the torch was applied, the Negro was deprived of his ears, fingers, and genital parts of his body. Typical for them to do that. He pleaded pitifully for his life while the mutilation was going on, but stood the ordeal of fire with surprising fortitude. Before the body was cool, it was cut to pieces. The bones were crushed into small bits, and even the tree upon which the wretch met his fate was torn up and disposed of as, listen, souvenirs. The Negro's heart was cut into several pieces, as was also his liver. Those unable to obtain the ghastly relics direct paid their more fortunate possessors extravagant sums for them. Small pieces of bones went for 25 cents, and a bit of the liver, crisply cooked, sold for 10 cents. As soon as the Negro was seen to be dead, there was a tremendous struggle among the crowd to secure the souvenirs. Again, didn't make it to your text, did it? This information didn't make it to your text. It's not obscure. Got the book right up there. You can get the book, right? But it didn't make it to your text because you were made to believe that these were it was just like just kind of a fringe group of folks that were doing awful things the same way we think things are going on today. That's not the case. Next slide. So this is Brian Stevenson, founder of the Equal Justice Initiative. He is also responsible for now having that amazing 4,400 people lynched memorial, acknowledging and basically for the first time honoring those whose lives were lost. Next slide. This is me at the lynching memorial. What you see that's above me are these columns, and on each column are the lynchings, who was lynched on what day and where. I had to sit down because I just couldn't, I literally could not move any further. It was so painful. On one of those columns, there was 215 names, which means they lynched an entire community. But still, none of this made it to your text. And not until recently was this even acknowledged. The lynching memorial just opened a couple years ago for people to acknowledge 4,400. Now remember, that's just the names they had of the official names. They have tons of people who they don't have names for. Next slide. So while I was there, I decided, I was there with a young woman who just amazing. And Tony, she descended from people who were lynched. So she had come earlier and offered to take pictures for me because it's such an emotional, she says, just go ahead and walk through. I'll take pictures. If you see something pointed out, I'll take pictures. So I said, I just want you to go around and take pictures of the reasons why these people were lynched. And, I said, just go around. And she went, and lining the walls were these things. I didn't capture all of them. I just put a few of them. Warren Powell, 14, was lynched in East Point, Georgia in 1889 for frightening a white girl. General Lee was lynched in Reesville, South Carolina in 1904 for knocking on a white woman's front door. Robert Morton was lynched in Rockville, Kentucky in 1897 for writing a note to a white woman. Next slide. Grant Cole was lynched in Montgomery, Alabama in 1925 after he refused to run an errand for a white woman. Benjamin Hart was lynched near Jacksonville, Florida in 1923 after he was wrongly accused of peeping into a white girl's window. Parks Banks was lynched near Yazoo City, Mississippi in 1922 for carrying a photograph of a white woman in his hat. Next slide. Clinton Briggs was lynched in Star City, Arkansas in 1919 for using inappropriate language with a white woman. Caleb Gadley was lynched in Bowling Green, Kentucky in 1894 for walking behind the wife of his white employer. Frank Dodd was lynched in DeWitt, Arkansas in 1916 for annoying a white woman. Next slide. So maybe, when people start looking at what happened to Tamir Rice, what happened to so many of the young people that we've seen. And I think that's because we don't know anything about George Junius Stinney. He is the youngest person to ever be executed in the United States. George Junius Stinney, born October 21st, 1929, was accused of killing 2 young white girls in Clarendon County, South Carolina. George Junius Stinney, on June 16th, 1944, became the youngest person ever to be executed in the United States. George was 5'1", weighed 90 pounds, and was so small, adjustments had to be made in order to secure his body to the electric chair. Despite protests, a lack of due process, and physical evidence of his guilt, within 80 days, George Junius Stinney, a poor, illiterate Black boy, was executed at the South Carolina State Penitentiary. It took the jury 10 minutes to decide his fate, and one supporter of the execution wrote to the governor and stated, "Sure glad to hear of your decision regarding the nigger Stinney." Now he's actually there, he's walking in holding there's a Bible there that he wanted to have. He was posthumously exonerated in 2014. Let's unpack why. They said that he killed both girls with a railroad spike. One, he couldn't lift the railroad spike. He didn't have the strength to do it. And the other girl would have had to just stand there and wait for him to finish killing one to be killed. So he couldn't even lift it, let alone do that. They actually bribed him with ice cream, by the way. Just so you know, see, this is context so we understand what happens to people like, Tamir. Next slide. This is taken from the National Museum of African American History right there in culture in DC. Now, these are pictures you don't normally see. You don't see the white woman sternly confronting the enslaved Africans. You don't see her, but she's there. Next slide. In fact, here she is depicted beating enslaved Africans, right? But these are pictures that you don't normally see because we always attribute such violence to white men. Next slide. So this is called the Casual Killing Act. For those of you who have never heard of it, sounds very, very close to, well, I don't know, a little bit like, the escape clauses for runaway slaves, the Fugitive Slave Act, stand your ground. You'll hear some similar language here, but we're going to unpack this a little bit more so you understand the context to why we are calling for stricter laws. And if any slave resists his master, owner, or other person by his or her order correcting such slave, and shall happen to be killed in such correction, it shall not be counted felony, but the master, owner, and every other person so giving correction shall be acquitted of all punishment and accusation for the same, as if such accident had never happened. Okay. What is this about? It's called the Casual Killing Act. It was an act that came into existence, not just in Virginia, because there are statutes in other parts of the country, for protecting someone who beats someone to death while correcting them. So now you have to ask yourself, the only reason why you would have to establish a law is because this was happening frequently, right? So you got to ask yourself, who's beating people to death so frequently that you need to create the Casual Killing Act? That is going to surprise you because that was about white women. White women who were, by the way, at this time, 1705, beating Black children to death. Why? Well, whose children were they really? Right? So white women took out their anger and rage against their husbands who were raping Black women by beating to death their children. Hence the Casual Killing Act. Don't want you to get in trouble. We want you to just say it was an accident because you were correcting them. Stay with me. Next slide. Now it takes us to 1955. This is Emmett Till. Emmett Till's mother had an open casket funeral so that she could show the world what they did to her baby, her child. And I think, when we consider this is where I'm gonna really have to pull it together because this makes me so angry. Next slide.
First, take a breath. Okay.
A killing that shook a nation. This was taken from the Tribune News, January 28th, 2017. The person you're looking at is Carolyn Bryant Dunham. This is a woman at the center of the trial of Emmett Till's alleged killers, and she has acknowledged that she falsely testified he made physical and verbal threats, according to a new book. It was the summer of 1955 in the Jim Crow South. Emmett, more affectionately known as Bobo by the people who loved him, had traveled to Mississippi from Chicago to visit his great uncle. Once there, the teen was falsely accused of flirting with Carolyn Bryant, a 21-year-old at the time. Bryant and her husband, Roy, owned a grocery store in Money, Mississippi. 4 days went by. Then in the middle of the night on August 28, 1955, Roy Bryant and his half-brother, J.W. Millam, paid Emmett a visit. They rousted him from his bed and ordered him into the bed of a pickup truck. They beat him mercilessly. Then they took his life by shooting him in the head. And to get rid of Emmett's body, his killers strapped a 75-pound cotton gin to his neck with barbed wire. That way he'd be weighed down when they threw his battered body in the Tallahatchie. Just stay with me one moment here. This woman lied, admitted that she lied, caused the death, the brutal torture, beating death of a child, and didn't see a day in jail. Didn't see a day of justice, this woman. Knowingly waited for the two men to die before she even admitted it. But as she closes in on death's door, she's going to admit something, which to me says, thank you so much. We're going to cart your behind right off to jail right now, because there's no statute of limitations on murder. But she didn't. She'll probably write a book out of this and they'll make a movie about her. Yeah, I feel some kind of way. Next slide. Now let's bring it closer up to date. So now again, in 2018, everyone knows she lied. Everyone. The whole world knows that this woman lied about Emmett Till, ever saying, hey, baby, ever whistling. None of it was true. None of it. This is Emmett's family. And what they did was they got a sign that they posted to honor him at the side of the river where he was killed. And within 30 days of putting it up, it was vandalized, shot with bullets. Now stay with me. Everyone knows, okay, everyone understands that she lied, that an innocent child was murdered, but look at the visceral hatred. That's 2018. Next slide. Oh, then there's Susan Smith. Susan Smith, 43, was convicted in 1995 of murdering 3-year-old Michael and 14-month-old Alex by strapping them into their car seats in her burgundy Mazda and then letting her car roll into a lake in the mill town of Union where she lived. Okay, I just have to take a breath, because just that alone is a mother, a child now drowning, strapped into their seat. I can't even, okay. The tragic case attracted worldwide attention and stirred racial tensions after Smith initially told police that a Black man had carjacked her and kidnapped her children. She tearfully pleaded for kids to be returned. This is on nationwide television, by the way. She went on like Good Morning America and pleaded, please bring my children back. That's how much attention she garnered, that the whole national media was supporting her. But in 9 days later, she admitted she pushed her car down the access ramp of John D. Long Lake with the kids in the back. On October 25th, 1994, Smith reported to police that her vehicle had been carjacked by a Black man who drove away with her sons still inside. The composite sketch, stay with me. She came up with a composite sketch of the alleged carjacker. And by the way, they found them. Because it was basically arbitrarily any Black man that you could see. And they literally found the men that matched the composites, who didn't exist, okay? Did not exist, but they found them. The composite sketch of the lead carjacker, however, was too generic in the sense that it described half of the African-American men who lived in the community. For 9 days, she made dramatic pleas on national television for their rescue and return. Now, let me update you on her, because she gets out in 4 years. She gets paroled in 4 years. She didn't get the death penalty. Now, I want to really march this home. This woman strapped babies in her car and killed them intentionally. And we went, yeah, well, not even life without possibility of parole. She gets out of jail in 4 years. And if you look at her behavior, she hasn't behaved well. Okay. She hasn't been, she's been brought up on all kinds of cases since she's been there.
But, but she's still going to get out in 4 years.
I'm just saying, help me understand that. Help me understand. Killed her own children in the most horrific way. I was praying in my mind, did you drug them? Did you put them to sleep first? Something. But to have your mother, oh my God, I can't even.
Take a breath. Take a breath, Dr. Joy.
Next slide.
2 breaths, maybe.
I'm better.
Oh, you didn't breathe. I'm watching you. Holding your breath. Thank you. All right.
Okay, this is surveillance footage that proves that the white woman who falsely accused a Black 9-year-old of sexual assault in 2018. 9. I just want you all to go back to 9. 9 is prepubescent, okay? It's a child. It all happened Wednesday at the Sahara Deli Market at Albemarle Road in Flatbush. The woman, identified as Teresa Klein, was being rung up at the front counter when the child walked by. According to Klein, the boy grabbed my ass, prompted her to call 911. Video of the exchange outside the deli when Klein confronted the child and his mother was later posted on Facebook. As a woman proceeds to yell at the family, the children weep and attract a crowd of bystanders shocked at what they are seeing. What the actual vid, you can go back and look at it, it's online. But what it shows is that his backpack brushed up against her. Now let's look at what she accused the child of. Grabbing her ass. He's 9 years old. And in fact, the little boy is horrified. He's crying. He's horrified because he doesn't understand what's going on. And when you see it, you see his backpack brushed against her. That's what happened. But it didn't stop this grown adult white woman from accusing a 9-year-old of sexually assaulting her. There's no way in the world she thought that happened. There's no way she thought that boy grabbed her ass. And if she did, there's something wrong with her. But still, do you understand the implications of this? Do you think she does not know? Next slide. Next slide. 2014 study. Anybody taking my class has had to read all this material. It's called The Essence of Innocence, Consequences of Dehumanizing Black Children, 2014. So you can go look up the article if you like, or you could, I can give it to you if you need it or want it. Why can't I get this thing to go up here? There you go. The social category children defines a group of individuals who are perceived to be distinct with essential characteristics, including innocence and the need for protection. The present research examined, this is 2014, examined whether Black boys are given the protections of childhood equally to their peers. We tested 3 hypotheses. A, Black boys are seen as less childlike than their white peers. B, that the characteristics associated with childhood will be applied less when thinking specifically about Black boys relative to white boys. And C, that these trends would be exacerbated in contexts where Black males are dehumanized by associating them implicitly with apes. We expected derivative of these 3 principal hypotheses, that individuals would perceive Black boys as being more responsible for their actions, as being more appropriate targets for police violence. We find support for these hypotheses across 4 studies using laboratory field and translational mixed laboratory field methods. We find converging evidence that Black boys are seen as older, less innocent, and that they prompt a less essential conception of childhood than do their white same age peers. Further, our findings demonstrate that the Black Ape Association predicted actual racial disparities in police violence toward children. Taken together, this research suggests that dehumanization is a uniquely dangerous intergroup attitude, and that intergroup perception of children is underexplored, and that both topics should be research priorities. That was 2014. That our children are still being dehumanized. Next slide. This is 2016, the next slide. So this is the pretty well-known bias story. You might have heard it in the news. It actually made national news. It says bias isn't just a police problem, it's a preschool problem. Now I'm going to fold this into why I'm talking about this, because a huge percentage of the preschool teachers are white women. So now, new research from the Yale Child Studies Center suggests that many preschool teachers look for disruptive behavior in just one place, waiting for it to appear. The problem with this strategy, beside it being efficient, is that because of implicit bias, teachers are spending too much time watching Black boys and expecting the worst. 135 pre-K. Let me just step back. These are little ones. Okay, I'm talking about the little bitty ones. 135 pre-K teachers were asked to watch a few short videos and told, press the enter key on the external keypad every time you see a behavior that could become a potential challenge. Here's the deception. There was no challenging behavior, none. While the teachers watched, eye scan technology measured the trajectory of their gaze. Gilliam wanted to know when teachers expected bad behavior, who did they watch? What we found was exactly what we expected based on the rates at which Black children are expelled from preschool programs. Teachers looked more at the Black children than the white children and looked specifically more at the African-American boy. Again, I'm giving you context so nobody just thinks Dr. Joy is being emotional. Okay, we have reams of data. We have what I would call a preponderance of evidence about this. And what you need to know about this, not all the teachers in the study were white. There are no doubt Black, Latinx folks, but guess what? They've all been socialized, and we've all been socialized that there's something wrong with these kids. Are you following me? That's how deeply entrenched it is. And even when they had two children off task, deliberately off task. The children that were off task, white boy, Black boy, they were actually off task, doing the same off task behavior. And the teachers only saw the Black boy. They didn't see the white boy, even though they were both off task and both off task doing the same behavior. Next slide. Yeah, people always say it takes a village. They love to say that. And most people who say it never been to a village, and most of them are white. More white people say this than anybody in the world. They don't want to be in the village or coming in the village, don't have nothing to do with the village. Just saying. Yeah, I'm feeling some kind of way. So yeah, it takes a village, but it also takes education, systemic change, and social legal justice. Hence, Karen got to go to jail. Next slide. I love this statement because I remember reading it many, many years ago. Steps to healing, embracing, and again, our humanity. Because I want to leave us with some stuff that we can do. The most exciting breakthroughs of the 21st century will occur not because of the technology, but because of an expanding concept of what it means to be human. And we have lost sight of our humanity. Next slide. Love this, one of my favorite quotes. We need more light about each other. Light creates understanding, understanding creates love, love creates patience, and patience creates unity. I'm for truth no matter who tells it. I'm for justice no matter who it is for or against. I am a human being first and foremost. And as such, I am for whoever and whatever benefits humanity as a whole. Who wrote that? That would be Malcolm X. Bet you didn't know that. Why? Because you basically listened to whatever you were taught about the one-dimensional person that people portray Malcolm X as being. But again, you know, if you think you've been educated, I don't know, read my book. Next slide. So what are the most salient features? Now, what I've spent my life doing is looking at what works, right? Looking at what works. And here's what we know works when working with Black folks, because my goal here is to help Black people survive in spite of Karen, right? We've got to help our children navigate the hostility of a world that is against them, that I think is packed in the DNA of people who believe wholeheartedly in white supremacy. So these are the things that I had my graduate students evaluate when I was teaching at Portland State University. Rather than have my students write papers I didn't want to read and they didn't want to write, I said, let's do some research. Let's look at Black communities. Let's look at organizations, agencies. Let's look at programs around the United States that are effective based on a very strict criteria of evaluation. And let's look at the common elements that fall out. One, building strong relationships. Hence, I wrote the relationship model of educational intervention. I wrote the relationship approach. And these are evidence-based models that are being used in communities, were used before I came up with the word for it. We know what it takes, but we're never, our voices are never heard. So I just, kind of came up with my own thing and took it on the road. Building strong relationships, culturally relevant curriculum materials. Don't act like, we didn't build the country, okay? Positive racial ethnic identity development. Your children are Black, Your children are Latinx, have them embrace wholeheartedly who they are and love who they are. Start working when they're young. Don't try this at puberty. Don't start trying to work with your kids at puberty. It needs to be happening early. We have all the data and the literature that suggests that as well. Parent-family involvement in schools, in the community, commitment and support of administrators and teachers, consistency and longevity, providing unique achievement opportunities or wins. Everybody needs to win. You may not make the dean's list, but you can win. Follow-up and evaluation. Everything doesn't last all forever, and you need to tweak it, you need to change it, you need to look at what's going on outside to see if in fact things need to be adjusted. Next slide. So in the relationship approach, people of color are faced with 4 questions when encountering American institutions. One, am I being accepted or tolerated? I teach Black people to assume you're being tolerated. Just assume it, because we're relationship-based people. We want to be accepted, and then we get our feelings hurt. I say, okay, just make an assumption you're being tolerated. If you end up being accepted, now that's gravy, great. When do I confront or simply let things go? Because we could be fighting all day, right, B? You got to choose your battles, because you could be fighting all day. How do I distinguish those from those who are sincere and can be trusted from those who would cause me harm? We're talking about white people and inequity. And what is my locus of control? This is what we train and we work with, buttressing folks so they can navigate environments where they may not be liked, which is often the situation. Steps to healing. Tell the truth. It is a foundation for health. Know yourself, our history, and your personal legacy. Tell your story, preserve memories for those to come, writing our own narratives. Look beyond healing, seek to be healthy. Build esteem, healthy and accurate, not high or low. Healthy and accurate. Control your inner world, manage stress and conflict.
On that note, take a deep breath.
Racial socialization, cultural preparation for the future. And again, we got to lean into this. We need to be deliberately helping our children of color navigate as they are. So let's not pretend. You hear people know the first chapter in my book is called I Don't Even Notice Race. Right? I wrote that because white people have said that to me. And I think they're trying to compliment me. I don't notice your Black joy. That's not a compliment. Hello. I notice I'm Black. You should notice I'm Black too. Black. But if all you can do is not notice me in order to grapple with your cognitive dissonance, I'm not signing off on that. So literally cultural preparation for the future, letting our children know who they are and going all the way back to their ancestors. Build upon strengths past and current. Model the health, be the healing that you seek. We got to walk the talk. Look in the mirror, change and growth are continuous. So we are at, a point where, again, everybody knows when I was in Ghana and West Africa, I actually read this while I was taking the picture. I had a book of Proverbs that I had gotten from the university. And it said, if you wish to go alone, if you wish to go fast, then go alone. But if you wish to go far, go together. This is something that requires that we all show up. It is something that requires that we roll up our sleeves. But I wanted to give context, but here you can, I think that's the last slide, right? Yeah. So let's come out of that. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, finish.
No, I just wanted to give context so that when people, when people have memes and they have all these different things going on about, Becky or whatever that is, this is serious, okay? And I'm serious about creating and establishing some accountability for people who are putting folks' lives in danger, instead of us making memes and plastering it all over Facebook. Thank God for you. Thank God for the people who videotape. I'm happy about that. But if we want to do something about this, there needs to be some change. I'm not an attorney. And here is my plea for those of you that are out there. That's on my lane. But you can bet, I know some attorneys, and you can bet I'm going to call on them. But we want next week, between now and next week, please reach out if you're an attorney, because what we specifically want to talk about is how do we get this put into law that these people that do these things, they are not doing something innocent. It's just not an accident. That's why I showed you the history, so that you can understand this is an accident. So we're going to be.
We have some precedents, and we have some situations. I know that we're going to try to have in Oregon, Representative Janelle Bynum, who was canvassing for her community for re-election, who someone called the police on her and said there's an African-American woman knocking on doors and we don't know if she's begging, blah, blah, blah. And she got a bill passed that right now, at least if you call 911 for some, stupid reason, or basically racially motivated 911 calls, you'll be fined. Now it's only $250, but it's enough of an inconvenience for people to be aware that if they make this phone call, they can end up having a fine. What we're saying is that was one representative in, with some, there's some other senators that supported backing it, but it wasn't a huge movement, but we could have a huge movement that then results in some federal laws that lets you know, if I'm going to make this call and say, he's African-American, you're going to go to jail, Karen. You're going to go to jail. That's my thing.
Yes, go to
try it if you want to.
That'll stop it. That'll stop it when you realize you're going to jail. Or better yet, not only are you going to jail, we're going to fine you too. We're going to take your stuff. I mean, come on. We can't just have these conversations. We have a preponderance of evidence.
Right. And we have a history. We understand the history.
There's no confusion here. And again, the only thing I don't, because you got to know, I would be on the front steps of the Capitol if I thought Joy could do something about it. Again, not my lane. I'm not stopping. Don't think you think I'm gonna put this down. I will learn what needs to be done. But we can't. So here, as far as I know, is you can't jog while you're Black. You can't watch birds while you're Black. You can't go to the store for Skittles. You can't play with a toy gun if you're Black. You can't barbecue outside. You can't drive while you're Black. You can't sit at the counter at Starbucks while you're Black.
You can't sell water if you're
Black. Yeah. You can't play your music loud if you're Black. I mean,
but the bird watching. You can't
watch the birds. You can't watch.
You doesn't even do anything to the birds, but you can't watch the birds. But
I guess the issue there was this brother is a Harvard, he's a Harvard man. So she picked the wrong one. But aside from that, did you see who she was? Did you understand the position she holds? So what my husband wanted me to bring into this conversation is the fact that we work with Karen. Mm-hmm. We work with Karen. Now, Karen showed out in the park, but we still work with Karen. And it's that same mentality that shows up in the workplace, in the classroom, in the boardroom. It's the same mentality. And I'm going, why do we have any, because
part of it is we're underestimating the inherent sense of superiority and racism. I think that if we don't underestimate that, if the average Karen who's a do-gooder, who thinks, I voted for Barack, I'm a good white person, if that Karen does not decide I'm going to be anti-racist, I'm just not a racist person. I'm going to be actively anti-racist, which means that every decision that I make, I'm going to be checking it through an anti-racist lens. Because I've had experiences with the best, most well-intentioned white women ever. Really want to see equity at the finish line, so long as they can wake up and see equity happen. They don't want to have to live through the process that it's going to take for the personal transformation that's going to be required for them to get to that finish line. They just want to be at the end clapping and hugging, right? They want the photo op at the end, kumbaya. But the personal work, which shows up in little things like, evaluations, memos, and I'm going, this is some racist shit. And you think that you're all about equity.
Okay, breathe. I'm going to need you to breathe. I need you to breathe.
See, the thing is, I can deal with Karen who just doesn't know. What I can't do is write on Karen who's racist. I can't. That's the part that I'm like, did you notice, equity Karen, that you're acting inconsistent to what you say you're about, Karen? I'm sorry.
Now, okay, breathe. See, we got to breathe. But here's the other thing I want you to know. The other evidence that people really know is, most of the folks telling on Karen, I mean, the people who are following, chasing Karen down with
Is equity Karen? Anti-racist Karen. Anti-racist Karen.
the anti-racist Karen is walking them down, because the one thing they know is ain't nobody gonna do nothing to me.
Right.
So
Yep.
if there would have been a black person tracking them down with the video, like the woman in the park with the bird watcher, he had to tell her, back up. Wait a minute. She's trying to ground the phone. Now, all she had to do, stay with me, all she had to do when the police showed up is jump on this man and attack him, and they'd have killed him. Because they got the 911 call. And now she's in a tussle. Oh, please. The man, that's why I was so glad the brother said, well, hold up, back up, social distance. What are you doing? Right? But again, it's the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. But white women who do get it, there are white women who get it, they start tracking down Karen and going, I'm sorry, Karen, what made you think?
But those women are anti-racist Karens, though. The reality is, if you're going to say that you're about something, so long as you're not uncomfortable, so long as you don't have to talk to your dad or your cousin or your people, is if I'm going to be down with you, be here as long as I can join your movement. But in my spaces, you know how many times people have asked me how they can join something that I'm doing? I'm like, there's plenty of pathology in your house, plenty of pathology in your office. Work with those folks that you have close proximity and access to. Do that. I don't need your help to work with my people. We know what's going on. You know, but I think the act of being anti-racist is very different. And anti-racism requires.
There's going to be people that are going to say, God knows my heart.
First of all,
I'm just saying.
But this is where we talk about intention and impact, right? I don't care about what your intentions are if the impact is detrimental to my person, my spirit, my mental health, my community. If it results in the fear of my son, death, then I don't care what your intentions were. I don't care if God knows your heart. I don't care if I know your heart. I'm looking at what the impact of what you did, said, heard, wrote about, called about. The impact of that is what's important. And if the impact of that doesn't match and you don't do self-evaluation and change that, then it doesn't matter, equity Karen.
And let me give you an example of that, because sometimes people don't understand the difference between intention. So I heard this sister who did such a really good example. She said, let's just say I take a Frisbee and I smack you in the side of the head with the Frisbee. Bam, hit you in the side of the head, right? And I go, oh my God, I don't know how to do Frisbees. I don't throw them often. I didn't mean to. Oh my God. How about, are you hurt? Yes. Can I help you? No, what they're doing is, I didn't mean to.
No. Like my friend Jamal said, he was walking down the street last week or earlier this week, and this little girl ran into him. Behind him, was riding her bike, wasn't paying attention, ran into him and fell over. So he reaches down to help her back up, and she's like, I'm good, I'm okay. She won't touch her. But then her friends, he said, well, what is going on? The friend said, she's good. So they're all trying to get him to back off. So the mom comes out and she says, what happened? And she says, they were in my way and I fell. They were in my way. Not I ran into someone. Are you okay, sir, that I ran into with my bike who's walking, but they were in my way and I fell, hurt myself.
And again, this is socialization. I live in Sacramento for the moment. And one of the things that happened one day, my husband and I came home and there was spray painted stuff in the driveway. My neighbor's house was spray painted. The street was spray painted with all these kind of weird signs and stuff. And, I don't know if we're dealing with, vandals. I don't know if we're dealing with some, hate groups, look, I'm trying to figure it out. So me, my husband and I, we say, okay, we're gonna have to check this out. So we go to my neighbor who's got, and not only that, they burned something in his whoever it was, they burned something of his right up in his yard. Now, my neighbor is Mexican-American. I think he's a Latinx. I don't know whether, actually, he may not be Mexican-American. I know he's Latinx. So he comes out and he says, you know what's going on? I'm going, nah, I don't know what's going on. Then another neighbor on the other side said, yeah, they spray painted this. So we start walking through the neighborhood because we're trying to figure out what happened. So we walk down and we're talking to people. And as we're walking, we're seeing more and more spray painted stuff. So we get down to the end of the block Here's a man sitting down with no shirt on, white man with no shirt on, kind of middle age, a woman, a white woman, and some blonde hair, literally towhead blonde white girls, right? And they range maybe from 8 to like maybe 12. So I'm going, we just noticed that there's a lot of spray painting of crazy stuff, and the girl goes, yeah, girl said, I know who did it. I said, really? She goes, yeah, it was Carlos. Carlos, yeah, Carlos. We tried to tell him not to do it. We really did. And he just didn't listen. And, I'm just really sorry that he did that to your house. It's terrible, right? So now I'm a clinician, okay? And methinks thou dost know a little too much, okay? So I'm going, okay. So how do you know Carlos? Well, he's in my class. Okay. So he's not my friend or anything. He's in my class. Oh, okay. So I said, and what class is that? So the actual school is literally a block from my house. Literally, I can walk.
Prison school?
Huh?
Is it the prison school?
The prison school. They call it the prison. They try to
prison. Horrible.
It looks like a prison. It really fairly new school. So anyway, we say, so I say to the little young woman, I go, yeah, well, we're going to be going to the principal, going to the school. We're going to call the police. And obviously, this is vandalism. So it's going to be really unfortunate, but we're going to go and we're going to talk to the principal and we're going to go to the class and speak with the teacher. And, we're going to, so we turn around and we go back. Right. So about 9 o'clock at night, I get a knock on the door, a little knock on the door. The mother of the 3 girls is sitting there. The mother of Carlos is there. She's Mexican. Carlos is Mexican. The girl comes to the door, the one who gave me all the information, and says, we did it all. Wait a minute. They sprayed. The only thing Carlos did was provide the spray paint. That's what Carlos did. Now, I said, see, for me, I said, what concerns me? Because I did a lot of crazy stuff when I was a kid. There's no doubt. Is the fact that you threw him under the bus and you lied so instantly. I mean, with there was no sign of any level. That lie floated out there. And the only reason why all those people showed up at my front door is because I said I have to call the police. Now, the mother, don't know if she was documented or not. I said, what you need to know, I said, is your friends here? Threw you under the bus instantly. Instantly. Didn't think a moment about it and had done all of it. Now, to the mother's credit, she goes, honestly, that's what disturbed me the most was the lying. And so she had the children from literally morning till evening scrubbing, which they can't get out. First of all, that's not going to work. You can't get the spray paint out, but she made them do it anyway all day. Their little hands were raw. They were scrubbing. And I thought that was a good lesson.
At least she cares, but that's a little
sociopath
right there.
I'm going to hold them accountable. She told me she was worried about that one child she had, which she believes is a sociopath. No, she said she believed the child was a sociopath. No, she did. Because she almost killed her sister.
But the bottom line is, but the thing about it is too, is it's like the little white kids get to be careless. Right? I have to explain this to my son all the time. Like Carlos needs to understand
what's
going to happen for him. And that's the same thing, like, there are kids who do stupid stuff all the time. Most kids do stupid stuff. You have a fully developed brain. You're making decisions with everything not tracking. But the consequences can be dire for you. And it seems so oppressive. I have 2 teens and they don't understand you're so worried. You're always so worried about everything. I'm not worried. I know better. I know it's not just worry. It's like, okay, this is likely to happen if these set of circumstances align. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go, nope, can't go. Guess what? I'm going to sleep good. You can be mad at me if you want to. So it's one of those things that I think we have to figure out. And I think it's important we're talking about locus of control, because part of the healing piece of this also is that, one, we're not crazy. First of all, you're not insane. Like you were saying, I might be paranoid, but sometimes people actually are following me. So you're not crazy that you start going again, and you start to realize like they don't see us as humans, and then you move on and right. So for us, we're like, okay, that is creating injury. You're in your house. You can't go to the gym and work it out, right? I am teaching dance class tomorrow, though, however. Spread a little joy. We're doing Missy Elliott.
I got to get,
We're dancing with Missy Elliott, so we're gonna try to.
This is how you understand. And again, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't. But I realize why people do. I really do understand why people do, because if you don't have a way to manage this stuff away, and that's why Bahia and I, of course, we're out here talking. It's feeling better for us, but I'm hoping that some of you feel a little better now, because you're like, yes, right? Because when do we get a chance to go, I'm not crazy? Why does Miss Ann continue to be able to do this?
You can save your breath. Take the clip from this show and go through some of these slides. And these are slides that she doesn't always share. So
No, that's right, because it's rare. Everybody knows I rarely. First of all, I have 300 and something, over 300 slides in my presentation, and you can't. People may be mad at me, but you come out changed, because I'm not telling you what's my opinion. I'm showing you history. It's real, right? But here, show the clip. We got to end it with the clip.
Oh, do we have to do this?
Yes, we do.
Is that a way that we want to end?
Okay, no, maybe not.
I feel like we should direct people to it if they want to see it. They've gotten a lot of information.
No, but don't direct people to that, because it's not. Okay, so I'm not going to show it. But it's a video of a police officer stopping a white woman who is scared to use her phone. And the police officer says, we don't kill white people. We kill black people. Mm-hmm. This is what the man says to the police officer. He says, tell me when you know somebody of a white person that we rolled up on and killed. We kill the black people. This is a police officer.
He's saying this to make her feel more comfortable and safe.
Right. And his captain says, I don't know his heart, but I know what came out his mouth. And he goes, and he gotta go.
But then he's gonna get rehired somewhere else.
But he shouldn't get to go. Here's the thing. This man is literally feeling so comfortable. This is a police officer, right? Now, again, let me say one more time. Policing in America was born from slave patrols. Look it up. Okay. If you look it up, then you understand that policing came into effect based on the police forming from slave patrols because of their intense fear of what black people were going to do once we were freed. And even though we never did it, they terrorized us. They created their own group to terrorize us. And the whole time, we're the ones that are violent. Who's the one that created this vigilante group that is larger than any combined gang in America? Mm-hmm. That somehow nobody gets arrested. They can bring the assault rifles to the White House. It's just,
But this is the thing. Here's the deal. And this is the part that we have to manage. Everybody's like, show the video. No, let me tell you what I do know as a mental health person, okay? I understand that we're all revved up. We're all hurting. This has been good for all of us. People are saying it's helping them because we are acknowledging injustice. We're not just frustrated and angry and mad and the man has done us wrong once again. We're looking at the history of what has happened and the necessity for us to combine our intellect, our passions, our legal expertise to create some level of accountability, that we can't just keep being frustrated. Because one, it's going to help us to put our energy into something that can be transformative. That's one. And two, it gives you a release to do something with all of this, right? We got to be able to maintain our lives. We have to acknowledge what's happening, work for justice, and try to stay sane and keep light and happiness in our homes.
To go on a bike ride.
Yeah.
Yesterday. To go on a bike ride.
You leave this conversation, you're in your house with your family, you're revved up, you're on edge a little bit, everything's kind of, reverberating through your body. How do you bring light and love and calm and balance? Because that's what you can control. You can control how it feels in your house. Maybe walking outside, it feels some kind of way in this skin, but in this house, in this apartment, in this room, I can create some practices for my family where we can sit with something that we can control and we can manifest something beautiful in this space. We have to do this all together, right? We always have
to do it every day. We got to do this because, as you can see, the decline that's setting in is happening so quickly. Everything is moving so quickly. And it's one of those situations where, again, I got folks, you laughing because people are writing crazy stuff. I know they're writing crazy stuff.
You can't make me though. We will tell you, you can look it up. Just look up the video of the police officer saying we don't kill white people, we kill black people.
It's gonna make you mad. But
Yeah, but that's my point. We're not going to put end on making you
we don't
mad.
want to end on that. We don't want to end on that. We want to end on on again the steps towards healing, what we have to do to take care of ourselves, all of that. But again, we're not doing this just to be doing it. I have every intention. I may fail at this, but I'm gonna try to get Karen arrested. I want you to know.
Oh, no. We're going to get careful. Let me tell you something. This is the thing I think of. We need to be strategic. Now, you know how every time when right before the slave revolt, they'd be like, we so happy here, boss. Of course, why would we ever leave this house? Now, is he really, and Uncle Tom, is he really going to make sure that everybody's children relax so that we can actually get to what we need to get done? Sometimes I think, and I'm not talking about step and fetch, I'm not talking about you got to kiss me by his butt or anything weird. What I'm saying is you have to be strategic. When you're dealing with a police officer, when you know you're in the right, but you know what's happening, there's some strategic things that you can do just to make it more likely that you will survive. That doesn't mean it's your fault. Doesn't mean that if they're really motivated to kill you that they won't. But there are some strategies that I think that we need to empower our young men, our young women, our grown men, our grown women to say, this is the language you can use. Hopefully those attorneys next week can tell you about how to state your rights instead of, I know my rights. Okay, maybe you do, but how do you lay it out, right? How do you manage that level of indignation and frustration that you have? How do you manage that so that you can still be strategic? Because my thing is, my mom knows this all the time. Now, Dr. Joy, as you know, is from South Central. She got to let you know right now what's happening. Take your earrings off. If you've ever been in a car with her and someone stole her parking space, I'm just saying, okay? She's calling them all kinds of cows. But for me, I'm like, okay, how am I going to?
I will not confirm nor deny those.
Oh, I've been there. But what I'm saying is, if something happens for me, my thing is to shame you, because I want you to feel ashamed of yourself. Long after I walk away, I want you clutching your pillow and crying at night and wondering, does God know your heart? That's what I want. Because the reality is, when people stare at you, right? My mother does this. People stare at mom. She goes like this. Oh, I forgot I'm black, right?
I don't do that.
You show your teeth. Sometimes you show your teeth.
I do.
Right? And I just, walk up to him and I go, I noticed that you're staring at me. How do we know each other? How do we know each other? Oh, we don't know each other. You're staring. You were staring at me. Oh, also, that's really because you were really staring. Oh my God, you staring at me. I want you to feel you're weird. You're doing something strange. Or clutch the pearls when the white man walks by. That's my favorite. Lock the door and clutch the purse when the white boys get by the car. They should feel it too. Why did they do that? Oh, I don't know. My point is, we have to all come together. The South Central Dr. Joy with the brilliance and the shotgun and
stop. I do, but
my point keep it with her.
Listen, we're way over.
Oh, we are. We're so way over.
We're gonna be way over. But here's the thing, honestly. We're doing this largely because we know a lot of people are feeling some kind of way about all that. And I just want people to know that we're not gonna just talk about it. And I want to get some smarter people on here to tell me what we can do. And I don't even know if I'll be alive by the time we can put it in effect, but I am serious about holding folks accountable. And I don't know how to do that. I'm saying that out loud. But those of you that are attorneys or judges or all y'all out there, listen, we would love to hear from you. And we would love to have the rest of our audience hear from people who know how to navigate that legal field. But at the same time, to know that we're paying attention and all of us are paying attention. You're not by yourself. Love yourself. Take this moment to let your children and your family know that they are safe, that they're loved, that we are growing, and that this too shall pass. We've been through a lot of stuff.
We're still here.
We're still here, and we're going to move forward. So I'd like to thank you.
Oh, also support any local organizations around you that are doing good work to support both the mental well-being and health of the people that you're around, and also for social justice. I'd like to do a shout out to, I'm like getting all flustered. Organic Oneness, our dear friend Saida, if you're in the Chicago area, look up Organic Oneness. It's an amazing organization that's working to build equity and social justice for all people, but in particular, focusing on people of color. And there are like multiple ones. For us, the Black Parent Initiative, it's a wonderful thing. We're providing a lot of mental health support and direct on the ground COVID relief. So the Black Parent Initiative in Oregon, There's a few. There's a million of them, but please
And
try
go
to
to
figure
my
out
website,
what you can.
joytodo.com. Go to my website. You can see some of the things
Yeah.
that we are doing, have done. And again, the podcast is coming up because, I'm going to be making a move.
And her YouTube channel, we're going to be moving her stuff to YouTube because all the videos on YouTube that people make lots of money on, illegal clips of mom on them, we're going to try to move those to her own page. So that's coming soon. So thank you, everybody. We appreciate you. We love you sharing this time with us and bearing with us. All right.
Any of the chat, how do I get to see
Okay, so you're going to have to probably go on your, when you get off of this, go to your Facebook page and you can go back to it and go through.
We'll see. All right. Bye-bye. Be safe.
Bye,
Take
everybody.
care. Watch out, Karen. We coming for you.
What we coming, you going to jail.
You going to jail.
You going to jail.